It's 1854. You get the mail, and it says that the United States just passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. It says that this act or legislation divided a large territory into two states, Kansas and Nebraska. The paper also states that the new residents of these states get to vote on whether they want to enter the Union as a free state or a slave state. You, wanting to help the abolitionist cause, go down to Kansas to settle there and take a vote. Many pro-slavery and abolitionists, like you, poured into both states to influence the vote. For you, like many others, life in Kansas was hard. You'd wake up every morning to the sound of your neighbors fighting over whether Kansas should allow slaves or not. One day, it got worse. Border ruffians, or pro-slavery militiamen, were forcing your neighbors and his wife out of their home and threatened them if they ever came back. These free staters were peaceful and unprepared for the push out of Kansas. It even got to a point where the ruffians destroyed crops, burned entire settlements, and even killed those that got in their way. Hey everyone, welcome back to Better History. My name is Logan, and today we are going to be on part 2 of John Brown. Once again, I got all of this information from the book John Brown, His Fight for Freedom, written by John Hendricks. It is an amazing book. I mean, it is a picture book, but it's a great book. It has a lot of information in it, and that's where I get all this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to watch the first one, and share, and like, and all that stuff. Let's get back into it. So, as I said, the ruffians were some pretty bad people. But John Brown led and fought many battles on the plains of Kansas. In May of 1856, John Brown led his sons to the Pottawatomie River, or creek, on a dark night to storm the houses of 5 pro-slavery settlers who threatened John and his family. John and his sons took these men to the creek and then chopped them with broadswords, making John the most wanted and infamous man at the time. This caused other abolitionists to rise up and fight back against the pro-slavery settlers. This period became known as Bleeding Kansas. So, John Brown was now a wanted man. He actually couldn't go home because people were there waiting for him. They were waiting in his neighborhood for John Brown to kill him, right? So, he grew a beard, and he traveled to Iowa, Ohio, New York, and Massachusetts. While on this journey, let's call it, John recruited men of both black and white, and these men would follow him in his fight against slavery. In April of 1858, John went up to Canada to visit the black community there. That is where he met his greatest ally, Harriet Tubman. For a little detail about Harriet, if you didn't know, she was born on March 10th of 1822 as a slave. She was born originally as Aramita Ross in Rochester County, Maryland, and then switched her name to Harriet. I did not figure out why. She was a very famous abolitionist and a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Continuing, Harriet let John stay at her home, and one night during dinner, Harriet Tubman overheard John's great plan for liberation, as he called it. He called it, if you watched the last episode, we called it a great plan of liberation. If you don't know what it is, recommend checking out the past episode. Harriet Tubman swore to fight by his side, and from that time on, John took to calling her whenever he needed her. Now that's what I call a dynamic duo. Now, for this great plan of liberation, John didn't believe that bloodshed was the answer, but he knew that for this plan to work, he needed to capture the country's attention with a big boom. So when John surveyed the map, he found a small town between the Potomac River and the Shenandoah River, which is towards the top of Virginia, bottom of Maryland, right there on the border. This town was a federal armory, which means that it stored weapons for the military. It was also kind of a symbol of Southern power, because it was right there, northern Southern. There, he could capture more than 100,000 rifles for his growing army, and this strike would be a symbol to all Southern slaves that the fight for their freedom has begun. This will become known as the infamous raid of Harper's Ferry, Virginia. While John Brown was planning this attack, Harriet Tubman fell sick with what was likely narcolepsy. This was a major loss in his plan, because he knew he needed a black leader by his side to help persuade the former slaves to fight back. With Harriet sick, there was only one person John could go to: Frederick Douglass. Frederick and John met in secret, and John pleaded with him to join his force and help him with this raid. Although Frederick deeply respected John and his plan, Frederick didn't think it would work, leaving John and 21 other men alone to raid a federal building. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, let me know by liking, following, sharing, all that good stuff. See you soon. Bye-bye.